What's your take on yin and yang?
It's kind of like a life-creating formula that can be applied to all different situations.
Yeah.
And also,
Like a dual nature.
yeah,
Okay.
and also can be looked at as like, every situation, everything is yin and yang, and can sort of see whether you're the yin or the yang, or whether this situation needs that masculine or feminine, that driving or passive or energy, like withdrawing or coming into, like obviously with gardening, the green and brown stands out to me as a yin and yang situation.
Yeah.
And then when you combine them, they create the conditions for life.
Yeah.
Like combining a male and female sexually, that the two energies in a different form create life again. Yeah, a life creation formula.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically where I'm at.
Oh. And it'd be nice for people to see that energy is a more constructive force instead of a limiting or criticism or
In what way would it be criticism?
like, too much masculine energy or too much this or
Hyper-feminine.
too much that, instead go, what's the balancing force instead?
Yeah.
Instead of polarizing it, how can we have both truths going, or both extremes? Well, not extremes, but sometimes yes. But yeah, how do you see? Yeah.
Yeah, similarly. And it's interesting you use the word formula, because that's how I express it. That it's part of the formula of creation. It's not a it's not like a law or a rule or something. It's part of the fabric of existence. We're talking about like salt and fats and that sort of thing in cooking, but it's something that it's not just, doesn't just enhance flavor, it makes us perceive, or helps us perceive the flavor. And I wonder with yin and yang if it's the formula so that we can perceive, like it creates things into a way that we can perceive it, which we call life.
Yeah.
Whereas the imbalance, or the yang without yin, or one thing without another, possibly creates something we can't even perceive yet, unless we have that balance, and then we're like,
like it brings it into form.
Yeah.
Brings it into this reality to be seen and heard and experienced.
Interactive with.
I studied the tree of life a bit, which starts off with sort of yin and yang at the top, like universe, nothing, everything.
Yep.
And then yin and yang to create the first thing.
Yeah.
And what was I saying? Yeah, it's kind of like a map of the way energy moves.
Yep.
So it goes through the layers of yin and yang, like on that ethereal astral layer of spirit, yin and yang, you know, to create something new here.
Yep.
And then it's birthed like on an emotional level, on a physical level.
On all the different planes.
Yeah. And that energy of yin and yang is zigzagging back and forth through the planes with our adventures in life.
Yeah.
And so that gave me a kind of perspective of how yin and yang works through the universal layer, the natural nature layer, any layer, like.
Yeah, it has to cycle through. Otherwise, like let's say something is created with the perfect balance of yin and yang, and then at some point the yang drops out of it or something, and then it disappears from creation, or it stops. It stops. You call it cycling, and then yin and yang comes through again and balances it out and comes back into perception.
That all those like sort of vicious, you know, gods and goddesses of death and stuff, that's like the feminine, like even though it gave birth to this, it's doomed to the cycle of death as well. So it's like, that's what I was thinking of before with the Tree of Life. Once that first yin goes into the yang, that creation's doomed to an end.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be created without it either.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Look, here's a moldy one
Nice.
for the chicken. And it's good because it can take the pressure off looking at opposites. It's not like this is good and this is bad. In some situations it's like, well, this is the yin and this is the yang, and it's can be out of balance or needs another one to actually make something happen.
Yeah. Yeah, the understanding beyond the emotional. How does it need work? Why can't I just have it do?
Yeah, there's such male and female stigma attached to that energy. Like, people who identify with one or the other, and not both, can have trouble. It's almost like a little battle or a war or a game, who wins, who's the best.
Yeah.
It's like, it's everything, it's just the oneness playing creation.
It's also like a lack of appreciation for one.
Yeah.
And then the hyper masculine being like, no, appreciate me, I'm essential. So you're both essential. Like, we can't do it without either one of you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not about our bodies and their genitals and the way they grow. It's so much more than that. It's like a part of the fabric of this reality, like. And I've always felt inside, I guess they call it, what would they call it? Maybe gender fluid? Like internally, I've always just, yeah, like my mind will switch, and it's not a big thing, and it's not an issue, or it's just my mind will switch into feminine or masculine. It depends on what the situation is and how I personally feel in the moment.
Exactly, yeah.
And I've always kind of had the feeling that if I woke up the next morning as a woman, it would be a change and I'd have to adjust, but it would be like, oh, there's advantages here as well. Like, I could take or leave either sex.
Yeah.
But mentally, I don't monitor whether my thoughts are acting feminine or masculine.
Yeah, I think about in a situation where, let's say there's a lot of feminine energy, and obviously the way to balance that is to bring in masculine energy to that situation. I think my brain's always done that. Of like, you go into a situation and almost instantaneously my body and my brain are both like, how do I balance this?
I think I do as well.
Yeah.
Like,
very cool. I'll just be the opposite.
yeah.
The extreme. Or I'll just turn it down so that the extreme comes more central.
I feel like, to say if I enter a very over masculine situation,
Yeah.
if I feel comfortable enough, I'll start thinking a way to slip in a kind of joke that will throw off that whole energy.
Yep.
And it's not that their energy's wrong, it's just that they're naturally more masculine and they're all in a group, and I'll naturally go, well, let's add a bit of the feminine here.
Yeah.
Or then if I'm around a group of really feminine gay guys or something, it's like, alright, I'm the tough one now, like.
Yep.
Like, I'll just play the game I don't even, like you said, it's just like this urge to fill the void, almost, like there's a void of this kind of energy, and it feels good for me to fill it, and I think it will lighten you guys up, because usually when it's out of balance it gets a bit serious, or a bit overexcited.
Yeah, or stagnant, or this is not flowing, it gains resistance, and it's not light and happy. Yeah, I think I'd like to see it more culturally adopted, that people attribute happiness to balance rather than good and bad.
Yeah.
Like, how can we create balance and thus our happiness?
Probably the whole good and evil trip that a lot of people perpetuate as polarized and already polarized thing.
Yeah, exactly.
As polarized polarity.
You can balance extremes just as well. It's just kind of like pH. Like you risk causing swinging between pH. If you try and balance extremes, you kind of want to just bring them into the middle instead of being like, alright, if you're really, really good and you're really, really bad, then you guys together would be perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
Really, it's like, it's a bit dicey.
But yeah, it's interesting to see what people naturally embody.
Yep.
Because everyone's got a different mix, or people can swing.
Yep.
Or
get really defensive, really aggressive.
yeah, how much of each either energy do they have, and how do they use it?
Yeah. How desperate are they to use it? I was thinking about, I don't know why it popped in my head this morning, but I was thinking about the times where I'm lighting a fire and some guy comes in and it's just like, just can't physically help himself from taking over the situation And I just want to stop, like, the next time that happens, it'll definitely happen again. I just want to stop and be like, can you help yourself at the moment? Like, can you help these feelings, this urge to be inside the situation? Can you hold that, and can you just entertain the possibility that your actions might not be warranted, or like might not be as helpful as you think it might be. Can you just pause for a second? That's basically it. Can you help yourself?
See, I play the switch of being a male body. I play the situation the other way because that urge that very masculine men have to come in and help when they're not asked, or there's no reason why they should be coming in and help. I'll be like, yes, okay, I'll just put my legs up and you do it, because traditionally they shouldn't be doing that for another man, and so for me it does throw off that energy balance. It's like you're doing traditionally what you would do for a woman. Yeah. Your masculine energy has driven you to this point, and
you can't
maybe
stop this moving train any further.
But yeah, I love it when guys have that thing where they can't help but do it for you.
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, so I'll get something else done now. Thank you. Where if a girl came up, well, I wouldn't mind either if a girl came up, but I wouldn't feel to be manipulative in that way with a girl. I wouldn't be like, yep, you do all the work and I'll do it.
You'd be like, huh. It'd be something to see.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because even when they're, doing my tent for me or doing something I don't want to do, they're not annoying some girl who's trying to get something done somewhere else.
True.
Like,
stay busy so
I've
you
got
don't
them in
get
my,
in the way somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I don't feel demasculated because I don't have that urge to be the one who knows how to do this the best.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10 they end up doing much worse than I would.
Yeah, because
in
it's not
terms of making a fire or something, they just won't get it lit.
It's not coming from the place of actually wanting to do it the best. It's wanting to be seen as doing it the best.
Yeah.
And I guess that's when, the masculine is out of balance and needs to just sit and watch and wait.
Exactly.
And I could help, but I'll wait for that moment.
Yeah.
Because it could take away somebody's pride of doing what they need to do for themselves. And also them knowing that they can do that without help, because you might not be there next time.
And also my help wasn't asked for.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's a different thing when someone's like, can you help me? I can't do this at all.
Yeah, I don't see a big strong man being like, nah, fuck off. I'm not gonna help you. Not unless, I just want to stop them and be like, what can you see? What can you see happening right now? I'm building a fire. Am I underneath the fire? Am I in any kind of danger of hurting myself? They might say yes, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, that masculine and feminine energy then with the elderly, instead of being played out in gender, it's played out through old and young. The elderly is assumed to need that help and to be passive, and the youth, and sometimes that over-exuberance by younger people to help older people has the same effect as they're trying to prove to themselves every day how independent they are, how far they can go. And when someone comes up, it makes them think, you thought I couldn't do this? Like, your opinion of me is that from what you saw. So that's like an imbalance of, and it's hard because you feel like you're doing the right thing, but it's that masculine energy. I can do it better, I can take the load off, they'll be just assuming so much. And it's a hard situation when you see an elderly person. You don't know if they want to struggle or not. You're like, should I step in? And so yeah, that yin and yang, masculine, feminine, can jump through genders at different situations and put people in, the imbalance.
State. Yeah, it's a mental state. Yeah, I was going to come up with a workshop where, for me, not just having a female body, but the only reason why I can work with my physical limitations and I can utilize my physical potential is because I've given myself opportunities to measure that potential. I know what I can lift and I know what I can't lift. Whereas for still maybe like 70% of women, they haven't measured that yet. So they don't know if they can lift that or the table. They haven't tried.
Yeah.
They haven't been given the opportunity to try it, or they haven't asserted like a healthy curiosity to understand that those limitations. And when I see a woman carrying something, I'm not gonna be like, oh, she's a woman, she's gonna hurt herself, I gotta go help her. It's like I'm keeping my distance so that this person with a female body can understand, measure, and quantify their physical limitations and then utilize that potential accordingly. Because I know everyone's fucking smart. Everyone's got this. They just need the opportunity.
And it's really beautiful when you see a man and woman work like that, like they're watching each other, and then one or the other will step in just at the right moment and help.
Exactly.
That, and then move back to what they were doing. It's not this, oh, I'm on edge watching because in case you can't, or in case. It's like, oh, you need a hand here, boom, and you know, it's
yin and yang.
Yeah. And that's the magic of yin and yang, masculine, feminine, black and white, in and out, passive, aggressive, forward, backward.
Light and dark.
Green and brown.
Green and brown.
And I love the whole green and brown yin yang analogy in the garden, because you can make different formulas, different levels of yin and yang, green and brown waste, and to create different kinds of life creating conditions. Like with the corn burying heaps of green because it needs the nitrogen, and with the beans burying heaps of brown because it can make its own nitrogen.
Yeah.
So you make the yin and yang recipe tailored for the plant's yin and yang recipe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like a signature that you're identifying, and then use all of those elements to balance it.
I think I always get them mixed up. Is yin feminine or yang?
Yin is feminine.
Yin's feminine, yang's masculine.
Yeah.
I always.
Yang Wang.
I think of green. I don't know for sure the yang wang. I'll remember it now. I don't know if you'd agree, but I think of the yin and yang in the soil and with green and brown, with the yang as the green because it creates heat and it's active and it moves molecules and it creates change. And yang is the brown because it's very cold and passive and absorbs the byproduct of the green into, the brown's very carbonous, very still. And and then you mix them together and you have all that action moving through the brown carbon. And
the bodies.
oh yeah, I'll bring out some more in a minute and I'll start doing it. Yeah, we'll keep them separate. I'll get another bowl. So I think of the green because it gets things moving.
Green is the feminine.
I think green is the masculine.
Green is the masculine.
Because, if something's stagnant and you start to add nitrogen, it starts to move things break down faster, it attracts, life, microbes, worms, bugs, whereas yang is the brown is more...
Yin is the brown.
Yin is the brown, sorry.
That's it.
The feminine is the brown,
because it's cold.
It's cold.
And it absorbs.
It absorbs.
Yes, so it's the more passive.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
And you have that stage as the brown, as the feminine, with the masculine coming into it, creating all that change, changing chemicals, bringing in the life.
It's driven, it's focused.
Which is birthing the conditions for plants to grow in, and then animals to come, and for water cycles to clean, and like literal life creation recipe, which then creates the conditions for humans to exist. It's pretty powerful stuff. When it must be there. Oh baby, it's got to be here in heaven. I'm never sorry. I don't wanna live in this place. I want heaven. I must be there. Oh baby, it's got to be here